When she leaves a note on your Xbox saying, "This isn't working anymore," but you turn it on and it works just fine. Yeah, something tells me that isn't exactly what she was talking about. I mean, it could be. Could be that she went out to get something and then, thought that the Xbox wasn't working. I don't know. But it could be. The likelihood of it being that, though, is quite minuscule. And, the thing is that all the better for you, the fact that the Xbox is working. But as well, if your girl does this to you, then it's not really much of a loss. And same with the guys. Like, if a guy does this to you and you're a girl, like, it's not much of a loss. You dodged a bullet. Somebody who's that flaky, really, do you want that kind of stress in your life? Do you want that kind of, I don't know, just the constant frustration of that kind of individual? I would say that normally, no, that's not the type of life that leads to happiness when you're constantly worried about somebody who's going to leave you or whatnot. Now, if it's your fault, then yeah, change things up. But if it's just something stupid, then I would say you dodged a bullet and not to worry too much about it. Video game refrigerators be like, well, that looks like my refrigerator. In the end, my refrigerator is not exactly like that. It's a little bit bigger. There's maybe a few more guns and ammo in there, and there is not any alcohol. But, you kind of get the general idea here. Say probably a few more lighters, maybe some like typewriters in there, or like some random machine parts. Just for the odd random guy that comes along and needs to collect scrap metal for some reason or another, you gotta think of these things, be a good neighbor, be a good citizen. Make sure that you stock your refrigerator with all the things that a wandering raider might want, so that they can get along their merry way, especially if you're in like the Fallout universe or something like that, then having stuff in your refrigerator is kind of a given, and a lot of it is not going to be food. So I would say that if you look in a safe, in certain games, don't expect to find money. For example, Liza P. Don't expect to find money in the safe. Don't expect to find food in the refrigerator. And don't expect to find, I guess, normal things in people's pockets. I mean, people in Skyrim have some pretty weird stuff in their pockets. So, anyway, but yeah, it's just common, normal stuff. Game publishers. Users want hardcore PvP multiplayer. Single player story mode is old news. Meantime, all of the top-rated games, and whatever this is, have single-player story modes. Yeah, I don't get why. I hate multiplayer, and it's not so much that I hate playing with other people. Like, I love playing with my friends and stuff like that, but I hate playing online. I don't want to sit there and be beaten by a 10-year-old who has nothing but time on his hands, That happens way too often, and I don't feel like dealing with that. So yeah, games that have single-player story mode, that's my jam. That's what I do. Liza P, freaking amazing game, and that's all it is a single-player story mode. You don't even have the opportunity to summon in your buddies to help you out. So in the end, yeah, I disagree highly that you would need you want hardcore PvP multiplayer. And plus, how do you even make it hardcore? Like, what are game developers doing? Sitting there like, oh, you know what? We're gonna make this one player have boss-like stamina and energy, and everyone else is gonna have to find. Like, how do you make that hardcore? The only way that it becomes hardcore is by having good players in the game. So I don't know how they'd ever control that. Controller, low battery, me, keeps playing. Controller, low battery, me, keeps playing. Controller, dies, me, what? Utter shock and dismay at the fact that my controller died after warning me plenty of times. The problem here is that a lot of times the controller says low battery, and you still got like a good 3 or 4 hours of gameplay in there. you know. Maybe not. That's a slight exaggeration, okay, folks? You know, I'm not saying there's literally 3 or 4 hours of gameplay, but probably a good 45 minutes of gameplay left, at least. That happened to me like at least 4 times tonight. I'm sitting there playing a game and have to watch as the screen keeps popping up. Your battery's low, there's no battery left, and it shows an empty battery icon, and yet I still play for like an hour more. So I don't understand exactly what they mean here, but it's not always exactly the case. Laser eye surgery or an RTX 3090 Ti? Me deciding which graphics to upgrade. Well, I would say that the living graphics are probably the better choice. You know, the eyes, having laser eye surgery is probably a little bit better. RTX 3090 isn't going anywhere. Like, in the end, there's always another graphics card coming out. They'll go on sale, they'll be cheaper. There's so many things to kind of, what do they call it, incentivize. Getting a RTX 3090, or I have a 4090, and it's like, get the eye surgery in this case. If you have this choice and you're kind of wondering between the two because they're both relatively quite expensive, get the eye surgery. You can see the games better. There's no point getting a better graphics card if you can't even see the better graphics, you know. That's one of my problems that I have with with a lot of the graphics cards that came out between the 4090 and the 1080 Ti. Is the fact that you really couldn't tell much difference between the graphics. And I mean, I still hold to that. There's very little difference between the high-end graphics of maybe the 1080 Ti days, like the high-end 1080 Ti games, and the now 4090. There's just too much stuff there that games can't really use or aren't designed to use yet. So it's more like future-proofing, but in the end, it matters a lot less nowadays than it did, like, say, between the 960 and the 1080. So, being an adult means you get to stare at these every day, but never actually get to play because you're too tired after work. Now, this happens to me a lot, but I fight the fatigue, you know. I do the streaming at night, and I get online and do the Twitch streaming and stuff like that, even if I'm dead tired, simply because I want to build up that base, and who knows, maybe one day that'll be my job, to just stare at these things and play these things. Get online, stream for 8 hours, or do videos for 8 hours, and then continue on with my merry life. Like, that would be amazing. Now, it's not necessarily what I would consider doing for a career at this particular moment in time, but it is something that eventually I'd like to be doing. Eventually I'd like it if the YouTube channel picked up enough that I didn't have to worry about anything else except entertaining you guys, my subscribers. And that's really kind of my dream right now. So hopefully one of these days I'll be able to stare at these things, be playing them, be talking with you on a live stream, having a grand old time, just everyone enjoying each other's company and having a good time online. Me, spend 3 months' salary on a nice gaming PC. Also me. YouTube, you died. Facebook, I don't know exactly what that last one is. Something. But you died, so that's Dark Souls. And there's kind of strange that you would include that there, because Dark Souls does have some pretty good graphics. And Facebook, yeah, I mean, you do Facebook and you do YouTube every once in a while. Like, I have a really high-end PC that I use specifically for my YouTube, but I use it to record game footage and upload the game footage to my YouTube. It's a really high-end PC. I built it myself and still working on that video. Gonna release it somewhat soon. But it is one of those things that obviously it comes down to your enjoyment of it. Even though maybe I don't use it to the maximum effect, I still enjoy it. And that's kind of the point. You gotta enjoy the things that you get. If you enjoy it, it's worth the money. If you don't, then I don't know, maybe return it if you have the possibility. If you don't have the possibility to return it, then either get used to it, sell it as secondary, or, I mean, just forget about it. It's just not worth the time and effort it takes to worry about stuff like that. My friend just rigged it so she and her friends could play Mario Kart on one side of the house for someone's birthday. Now the whole neighborhood can watch as friendship is blown away by a blue turtle shell. Well, that's why you don't use the blue turtle shell on your friends. You use it on the NPCs that play the lap with you. In the end, it is better for you to just sit there and encourage your friends if they're in first place and you're having a friendly competition, just to enjoy the game and not worry about the blue turtle shell or whatnot, and just use it if there's an NPC in first place. So, and I mean, with a screen that big, it's not going to be too hard for you to take a look at what your friends are doing and see which one is in first place. Now, I don't guarantee that there would even be that situation coming up, especially like here, it looks like there are only 4 players. But if that's the case, just don't use the blue turtle shell. Just drop it. Grab something else. I don't know. Either that or your friendship is strong enough to withstand a blue turtle shell, in which case, all the better. And everyone can have a fun time laughing at the fact that victory was snatched away from you, and that you were engulfed by the jaws of defeat just on the cusp of victory. Bethesda developers responding to Starfield reviews on Steam. It's boring. No, it isn't. From what I hear, it kind of is. There's a lot of worlds, but a lot of them are empty, and I think that a lot of developers kind of take it more personal than they need to when people give a bad review. A lot of bad reviews are just trolls, like a lot of them are, and they're just sitting there trying to give out negative feedback and stuff like that just because they think it's funny. And I mean, nobody else thinks it's funny, it's just them, and they get a little laugh out of it. Everyone ignores them and life goes on. But there's a lot of feedback that is worth taking if you're a game developer. Listen to the people who are playing it and see what they want. Once you give them what they want, it becomes a timeless classic. It becomes something that people want to play over and over and over again. So yeah, if you hear a lot of people saying, hey, it's boring, don't take it like an insult. This is not an insult, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to go through your game and be like, hey, you know what? They said that this was really boring. Let's change it up. Let's make it something more interesting. These empty worlds, let's add some unique characters or some unique life, something collectible that you can't find on the worlds that are more heavily populated. I don't know. Just something to make them more interesting. And that's the thing. You take the feedback and you make something better with it. Don't just continue to deny the feedback. That doesn't help anybody. But you listen to the feedback, and then you get the reputation as being a company that listens to people's feedback. You get the reputation of being a company that creates great games, even if they're not exactly the best at first. You can do a lot of stuff with that. My computer started giving me side quests. An error occurred. The wizard must be stopped. What kind of wizard are we talking about? Are talking about like a fire wizard? In that case, that might take a little while. Ice wizard might be a little bit easier, but the level that you have to go through is probably the more annoying one. And probably less visually appealing as well. Maybe it's an underwater wizard, in which case you get the worst of all worlds. But no, I imagine this is the installer wizard, like when you try to install something new and you go through the wizard prompts to get your thing installed properly. Yeah, but no, I mean, I think that more computers could do stuff like that, and it would kind of be entertaining, give you like somewhat of a side quest and kind of reward system, like maybe a point system for some free stuff if you accomplish those side quests. It'd have to be in a very interesting way in order to like measure this success in that. But I mean, you could do something like that and probably be very popular. My heart, playing a game in complete darkness. Somewhat erratic. Playing a game with jump scares. Slightly more erratic. Playing any game with a flashlight, immediate panic. And this can happen with a lot of games that, like, the flashlight mechanics are so narrow and only light up like the very little bit in front of you. Leaves a lot to the imagination, and your imagination is usually a lot scarier than anything that a developer can put on screen. Now, I normally don't worry too much about horror or horror games or horror movies or stuff like that. I usually don't like playing them because they just build the game around the jump scare, and that to me is just kind of makes for boring gameplay. But there are some genuinely frightening games and genuinely good games that have horror elements. Yeah, absolutely. Your heart starts pumping and everything, and you gotta run. At least the character in the game has to run, but there are a few times I love watching Fooster. Fooster is really hilarious whenever you watch him play a horror game, because like the way he reacts to it is quite funny. So there are a few really good ones. Markiplier is another pretty good one with stuff like that, but I think that I like Fooster and his reactions a little bit better. But anyway, you're 24, you're not a kid anymore. Why are you still playing video games? Grow the heck up. Me, who didn't get to play video games as a kid, finally trying out an old game I always wanted to play on my recently bought laptop. Hey, don't listen to that kind of negativity, alright? If somebody's telling you to grow up, be like, I am growing up. I don't have to answer to you. That's part of being grown up. The only people I have to answer to is my boss, and that's only for work. I don't have to answer to him for anything else. So, only for work, I answer to my boss. And then at home, I answer to my wife as a partner would answer to their partner in a joint endeavor, right? We're trying to raise the kids. We have to figure out how to work with each other and stuff like that. So I do answer to my wife on stuff like that. But when it comes to anything else, like whether or not I'm playing video games and should be a grown-up or whatnot, I don't answer to you. Go away. You know, you don't have to sit there and play video games with me. Why on earth would you sit there and be insulting when you don't even have to worry about it, when it affects you not at all? So that's kind of my general opinion on stuff like this. People sitting there being negative because you play video games, or you're doing a YouTube channel, or you're doing this, that, or the other thing, and they don't approve. Who cares? Who cares if they don't approve? You don't have to answer to them. They're not anyone important in your life. Even, I would say, even to the extent that after you move out of your house and you no longer need to answer to your parents, if your parents disapprove of the stuff you're doing, I mean, that's their problem. You know, it's like my parents, I don't have that problem because they do approve of pretty much everything that I do. But I can understand where kids, like, if they're going around, they're having fun, they're living life, and they're not doing bad things, then why listen to negative parents? Why listen to negative friends? You don't need that kind of negativity in your life, and you shouldn't accept it in your life. Gaming is my therapy. Me gaming. Yeah, that's me. The thing is, I always tell my wife, it's like, gaming is relaxing to me. It's what I do to unwind. It helps me to calm down and all this stuff. And then she comes in the middle of a really hard Dark Souls boss, in which, like, I'm sitting there saying, I pressed the button, come on, I just pushed it. And yet, and it's like she hears me freaking out. She's like, oh yeah, it seems so relaxing. It's like, well, it is relaxing. It's just not this particular part of it is relaxing. Kind of like in life. You can't sit there and be relaxed all the time. And so when the time comes for you to freak out, then you freak out. But for the most part, I am usually pretty zen when I'm playing video games. It's very rare, and usually it's subverted expectations. I think it's going to be easy, but it's not. And that's what causes me to freak out. But any other way, then usually I'm pretty calm and collected about it. I don't really care how many times I die to a boss as long as I eventually beat him. Wait, you people actually care about who wins the game awards? I thought it was a joke! Well, it's not a joke. And Maybe I'll do a video on the Game Awards, because there were a few things that I absolutely did call. Like, I absolutely did call that Mario Wonder was going to win that family one, and then Baldur's Gate was definitely going to be the one to win Game of the Year and stuff like that. There are a few things that I did call, and it'd be interesting to see kind of how that lines up with exactly everything that happened during the Game Awards. And it's fun. It's just fun to kind of see if the game that you really like is the one that got it, or if they went the way of representation and gave a game high marks just for, I guess, including something that they consider worthy of representation. So, which I don't have a problem with. They just usually make very boring games. When the game has "and you" in the ending credits, hits you right in the feels, and that's kind of the point, you know. In the end, it is gamers like you and me that sit there and fund these big projects. We're the ones who buy the games that they release. We're the ones who can donate or support them in other ways to help release better games or games that we enjoy in the future. And so it's kind of just like, yeah, it's good to thank your audience. And I mean, I thank my subscribers all the time for subscribing to me. I don't see why you would. I mean, I don't consider myself that entertaining, but I suppose it's not me that I'm trying to entertain, and as long as other people are enjoying it, then all the more power to you, you know. I will continue to be the clown. But in the end, yeah, we are the ones that build up these giant companies. Mr. Beast isn't like the most popular YouTuber because like he just paid YouTube for all of the subscribers. Maybe he did, but in the end, he created a lot of content that people liked. They joined up, they supported him, he got the money from that, and he was able to make better content and do more things with it. And so, yeah, you and I are the ones that are building up these companies. And once the companies realize that, then sometimes they're actually more willing to listen. The ones that don't realize that go the way of Bud Light and Disney, where they start losing billions of dollars because they're making stuff that people don't want to be a part of and people don't care about. Maybe a small group of people, but not people in general. When you spend 2 hours on a side quest with no proper reward, well, now you see, do you enjoy the game? Because if you enjoy the game, then spending 2 hours on a side quest with no proper reward, that's fine. Enjoy it. Enjoy the side quest. But this happens way too often. There are so many games that sit there and give you some of the most insanely difficult, hard side quests you've ever seen in a game, and then your reward is maybe a scroll with a bit of lore in it, or, you know, the Path of Pain in Hollow Knight, where the end of the Path of Pain, you just got a little cutscene, and the cutscene was like maybe 2 seconds long, like not even barely explaining anything, just it's 2 seconds long. And yeah, I mean, to me, that's not really worth the amount of effort that you put into it. But if you like the game, then usually it's more the journey than the destination that you're worried about. You know, you don't sit there and worry about what prize you're going to get, you worry about the fun you're going to have along the way. You are on the council, but we do not grant you the rank of soulslike. This is outrageous. That's unfair. Sekiro? What do you mean Sekiro is not a soulslike? Of course it's not a soulslike. It's part of the company that makes Soulsborne games itself. I don't understand exactly what they mean. Like, it is by all definition, you know, a Souls-like. It is incredibly hard. You have dodging mechanics. You have somewhat of a level up mechanic. You lose points, and I guess in that one it's somewhat of an energy type thing when you die. that makes you have to go back and collect it and stuff like that. And if you die twice, it's lost forever. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a Souls-like to me. So I don't kind of get this meme. Don't really get where it's coming from. I think that's the creator there. So anyway, but Sekiro is a freaking awesome game either way. Whether it's a Souls-like or not, or whether you want to consider it a Souls-like or not, I think that Sekiro is freaking awesome. I love that game. And the I love the perfect parry mechanic in it, and I love the fact that Lies of P did that perfect parry mechanic along with their typical Souls-like combat system. It's freaking amazing. Absolutely love it. In my opinion, the perfect combat system. Aw, dang, it's 11 p.m. already. I should go to sleep. Or I could play just one last game. Just one. 5:24 a.m. I hate myself. Yeah, well, this happens to me a lot, and it's not so much something that happens maybe super late at night, because it does happen sometimes late at night, but usually it happens to me in the mornings or like in the middle of the day, in which it's like, I have a little bit of time to play this game, just a little bit, and then I'll go and I'll get other stuff done, and then I wind up spending all the time that I had to get other stuff done playing that game, and you just wind up missing out on stuff. Either you missed lunch, or you're late for work, or whatever it is. In the end, there are a lot of consequences to stuff like that, but yeah, measure yourself, try and keep yourself in a good position, and watch what you're doing, and you won't have to worry about it. But for those of you that are like me and kind of lose track, again, just don't worry about it. You suffer through the next day and try harder to get to bed on time the next day. Everyone fighting over what platform or system is superior for gaming. Me. Gaming is gaming. And you guys heard me say this a lot. I don't care what kind of console you play. You can play the Atari 2600, you could play a cell phone, you could play the PS5 or the Xbox. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If you're playing a game, you're a gamer. And just enjoy whatever game or game style it is that you enjoy. It's kind of like what we saw earlier in the earlier meme. Don't worry about what other people are saying. If you enjoy it, just be like, you know what, I don't answer to you. I don't have to answer to you whether or not I feel myself as a gamer because I'm playing a mobile game instead of a console. A lot of mobile games nowadays have console-like graphics and gameplay and stuff like that. Pascal's Wager was pretty good. And so, just don't worry about it. In the end, gaming is gaming. We're all gamers, we're all having fun, and just don't let the negativity bring you down. There's no point in it. No point in listening to anybody who just has negative things to say. Join me as I upload regular gaming content Monday through Saturday. I'm also now on Twitch and streaming quite regularly there. So if you enjoy these, please join me there as well.